So recording is started, team. Good morning, team. In this BI Master program, in today's session, we will talk about copy multiple folders from blob to blob using parameters. So if you remember in our previous session, we just have seen few things. What we have seen, let's say this is a blob storage. Okay, this is a source blob storage. This is a sink blob storage. Okay. So in the source blob storage, within the source blob storage, if you remember, we have taken only one input folder. We copied the files from input folder to the output folder. Okay. So how to copy one file from the input folder to the output folder? We also, let's say, let me just put the names here. You will have some clarity. This is a source blob. Okay. This is the output folder. This is sync block. This is input folder. Okay. So now if you remember, from the source blob input folder, we copied the files into the output folder in the sync blob. Okay. Now what we need to do is, we need to copy files not only from the one folder. In real time, we may have lot of folders. Let's say input folder copying to the output folder. Similarly, we have input folder 1, we are copying the files into output 1. Similarly, input 3, you are copying the files into the output 3 and so on. Getting? Okay. So you are copying the files from input to output. Let's say input 2 to output 2 folder. Okay. Then input 3 to output 3 folder. Okay. So you are copying the files from input to output folder, input 2 to output 2 folder, input 3 to output 3 folders. Clear all of you? All of you clear, team? Okay.
Yes.
So we are copying the files from input to output, input 2 to output 2, input 3 to output 3. Okay. So this is what we need to do. So now I'm going to tell you how you can able to copy the data from multiple folders of the blob into the multiple folders of the sync blob. Okay. So from the source blob, we have input 1, input 2, input 3, and sync side we have output 1, output 2, output 3. We will copy input 1 to output 1, input 2 to output 2, input 3 to output 3, and so on. So whatever we are learning today, this is just a learning, but in real time, you may have 100 folders. You have 500 of folders. 1000 folder, doesn't matter, same approach you need to follow in order to copy multiple folders. This is one of the real-time common use case in real time. In real time, we like, if you know this approach, same approach for multiple table copy, same approach for multiple folders copy, and so on. Let's try to understand this. So to do this, we need to create one source blob storage, one sync blob storage, and then in the source side, I need to create input 1, input 2, input 3. Sync side, I need to create output 1, output 2, output 3 so folders. Okay, let's do that quickly. Okay, so first I'll create a one storage account. So before we go and create storage account, first let me create a Synapse Analytics. You know, Synapse takes some time instead of creating storage accounts, because in order to copy the data from source blob to sync blob, what we need the Synapse. So that's why let me just start creating the Synapse first. Okay, I'll create the Synapse first. So to create a Synapse, you know, right? Go to Azure Synapse Analytics, click Create Synapse Analytics. Pay as you go. Subscription is, let's create a subscription called Cloud Pandit-RG. Click OK. Come down. Workspace name is Cloud Pandit Synapse Workspace 0906. Okay. This is in East US. Okay. So account name is what? Account name is Cloud Pandit ADLS 0906, because you know, right? one of the default storage that I need to attach to the Synapse. I just attached. In that you need to create one of the folder. I'm just creating the folder as a global. The workspace name is this. Okay, click review plus create. If you feel I'm going a little bit fast or something, you can feel free to tell me so that I can just go a little bit slow. Okay, this is the Synapse workspace creation. So go to the second tab. Now we will go and create the source blob storage and the sync blob storage. Source blob, go to storage account, create storage account. Cloud Pandit-org. So storage account name is Cloud Pandit. Okay. Source blob zero. So yeah, source blob. Let's see. It is available. Just click review.
Hello.
Yes. Tell me. Tell me. Click create. Tell me, Jessica. Okay.
I'm sorry. Please continue.
So this is the source blob. Okay. So from here. So go to storage account. Let's create the sync storage account. Okay. Click create storage account. So this is Cloud Pandit-org here. Storage account name is Cloud Pandit Sync Blob. Okay. So this name is taken by somebody. What it will be is Sync Blob Store something. Okay. So just click review plus create. Click create. Now if you see all the required things we have created. We created the Synapse. It is creating. Source blob storage is ready. Sync blob storage is also creating. But we need to keep it source blob here, sync blob here, Synapse here. Let's go to source blob. Okay, go to resource. Okay. Go to containers. Inside container. Inside containers. Let's put your input one. Okay. See source side. Source side in the blob. I am creating input one, input two, input three folders. Okay. Input one I created. Input two. Oh, input three I created. Fine. Next input two. So input 1, 2, 3 I created, but you have 100, you can create 100 folders, not an issue. Go inside input 1. Let's upload some files in it. Okay.
Malay, one question. The input folders which you are creating manually, 1, 2, 3, like that. Is there any way that you can create a loop and create automatically?
See, because the data which is going to come into the cloud storages from the on-premise, when you are migrating data from on-premise to cloud, the ADF itself will create all those things. As these are just a labs I'm creating. So you are not
Okay.
doing anything manual. Okay. So
Okay.
go inside input 2. I am uploading multiple files into the okay. If you see input 3 is having 3, input 2 is having 3 files, input 1 is having the 4 folders. Okay, good. Now come to output, go to resource. For your question, It will be answered today. You'll come to know today, Narayana. Okay, that how to create folders, I'll tell you. Okay? Show you, because the output folders I'm creating right now. So this I'm just showing at this moment to make everybody understand easily. But once our lab is completed, what I'll do, I'll run a pipeline by deleting all these folders. Automatically ADF will create these folders and loads the data. That I'll show you. Okay? Output 1, output 2, output 3 folders I just created. All these are what? Empty folders. Now let's move on to this synapse. But can you tell me how many? So as per our previous learning, you tell me how many linker services we need, how many data sets we need to achieve this.
2 link services, 2 data sets.
3 link
No,
services.
it's
3 link services. Datasets.
6 linked services and 3,
Yeah,
6
6.
data sets required.
6 correct. Yeah.
Very good. I appreciate whoever said the linker services are 6, data sets are 6. How many pipelines?
1
3
pipeline.
pipelines.
One
1, 2,
3 pipelines.
3 pipelines you have to.
Pipelines are 3. Very good.
2 link services, 6 data
So
sets, 1
once
pipeline.
pipelines are 3 and activities are 3, right? In each pipeline, one you are saying. Some people are saying like this: linker services are 2, data sets are 6, pipelines are
1.
1, activities are
1.
1. 6
3.
data sets. How you can able to attach with one activity?
No.
1 or 3?
3.
Okay, 3. Okay, anybody else is having any other options? Any other apart from this?
I'm thinking, I mean, we did not cover the class, but just in the real time way, I'm thinking. So we can't go like if we have 100 folders, we can't create 100 link services and all. So there should be some option like.
Right. Okay. Good.
Your activities are 2.
Correct. Okay. So what we need to do is, so simple. You see, I will tell you, whoever said the 6 linker services, just think like this. You created a connection to the source blob storage. Okay. Can I use that connection to read a input folder? Yes or no? Can I create a data set which points
Yes.
to the input folder using the same linker service? Can I use I'll create another data set. I'll refer the input to folder. Can I use same source blob linker service which I created? Do I need a separate one for this folder to read this folder or to read this folder? Do we need separate
I think
connection or
same one should be fine.
remember connection, you no need to create multiple. Always remember connection is going to be only one for source, one for sync, that is going to be 2. The linker services are going to be 2. One is for the source blob, one is for the sync blob. The reason is I'm telling you, carefully observe. You created a linker service for the source blob. Same linker service I can use to read the input 1, read the input 2, input 3. Doesn't matter. Okay. So maybe instead of explaining theory, let me go to this research group. Okay. This is the synapse. Let me launch the synapse. Let me open synapse.
No.
First, as you know, normally we need to create a 2 linker service. Let's create those 2 linker services. So we go to linker service. You said 6, right? But I'll prove it. We don't require the 6. We need only 2. I'll prove it. Okay, how it is. Let's say ls for blob source. Okay, so subscription is this, storage account name is source blob, test connection, create. Again, create a new data set for the blob. Test connection created. So now I created two link services as we required. Okay. So now what I can do, I can go to the data tab. I can create a linked service. So data sets, integration data sets for the blob. CSL. So here when I am creating the linker service for blob, whether you are taking input 1 or input 2 or input 3, doesn't matter what you can do. You can use same linker service and you can just choose which folder you want to read. You can choose. Do I need a 3 linker services for reading 3 different folders, or we need only one linker service is enough? Now tell me, can I use same linker service to read any of this folder? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
So now can you tell me how many linker services we need for this lab? Only 2. One is for the sync. Everybody's clear, or whoever said linker service 6, everybody's corrected now?
Yes.
Now data sets. So if you come here, the source data set side, if I select a input 1, okay, and you cannot pass input 2, input 3 and so on. So now how many data sets we need? See, for input 1 I created a 1 data set. For input 2 I'll create 1 data set. For input 3 I'll create a 1 data set. Isn't it? So,
Yeah, so 6 data sets.
so total 6 data sets. But what we can do is, we cannot go for those many data sets. We are going to use something called parameterization concept. What is that parameterization? So instead of hard coding the container names, we are going to pass these container names dynamically, one by one. Please be in mute, Tim. Okay. So instead of hard coding the value, so for example, here what I have done, I hard coded. If you already passed input 1 hard coded like this, you cannot pass the other container name. So that's why it is what we need to do. Don't select anything for source data set. So I'll say it's just a source data set. Okay. For the source data set side, very careful observe. I created a source data set, referred the linker service which I created, but I'm not creating any, I'm not hard coding any container name, file name or anything. I'm saying for all my files which I'm going to read is having the headers I'm selecting. Click OK. Now you have not, so you are not selected anything, means you can't import the schema. You need to select none. Click in OK. So before I click OK, any doubts in this?
For which folder or for which container it will take if we go like this? How it will assume that?
1 second. How it will? No, that part I'll come. That part I'll come. I do not come to it.
Okay.
So till here you are clear, right? So just click OK. And now so the purpose of the data set is to point to the particular location. So we need to pass the container name. So container name, what you want to do? You want to pass it dynamically. For that, remember few steps. Okay. Create data set without selecting any container, folder or file name. Okay. The step 2 is click on data set on in which you want to create parameters. Okay. So let's say this is the data set on which I want to create a parameter. So in the link, do you see data set? You just click on this link. Data set where you want to create a parameters. Now go to parameter tab, create parameter based on number of values you want to parameterize. So how many values we want to pass? Only container name, right? Only container name. First I want to pass input 1, next input 2, input 3, meaning only one value I need to pass at a time. Okay, if you want to pass file name along with the container name, 2 values we need to pass dynamically at a time. But now at this moment I want to pass only one value dynamically. That's why click on this data set, go to parameters, click on one parameter I need. So ds param. Ds param means data set param for container name. So which container name? It is a source container name. This parameter you create. Now see, go to parameter tab, create a parameter based on number of parameters you need. Fourth step is go to connections and pass parameter wherever you want to pass. Okay, I want to pass this container. See, I need to go to the connections. In the connection here, container tab is there. Just click on add dynamic content. You select the parameter will be shown. Select this parameter. That's all. Parameterization is complete. Okay. Only you no need to even follow these many steps. Now let's say similarly, I need to create a parameterization for the sync blob storage. Anybody can guide me completely how to parameterize sync dataset, sync blob dataset. Anybody? Click on this on integration dataset. Okay.
Select the blob. Think.
Sync. This is the sync service. First was
None.
just click. Yeah, already selected none. Click. Okay. Okay. I'm clicking. Okay. 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 You click done. Now in the sync data set, go to parameters. Create only one parameter. I need ds param for sync container name. So I'll come back to the connection. So there is a disturbance, Srinivas Reddy. Please be in mute, Srinivas Reddy. Lot of disturbance from your side. So ds param underscore sync container name. Okay, this parameter I need to select where here container, add dynamic content, sync container, and click OK. Okay, this is a click OK. Clear? I selected this here. That's how you need to parameterize. Now what we need to do? Now you parameterize the things. Now come to pipeline. Come to pipeline 1. Okay, let's say copy data activity. I'm bringing here source set. What is source? When you use the source data set, what it is showing? What it is showing? Tell me.
Copy. Copying the data.
The blob, the storage
Parameter.
account.
Parameters. The parameter of the.
It is asking the value for the parameter. Let's say I want to copy input 1. I need to give input 1. Okay. So source said, are you pointing to the folder or file?
File them.
File. Oh my God. What you are pointing to? Source data set is pointing to what?
Folder.
Input
Folder
one
name.
you are passing only container name you are passing means it is just selecting the folder. It is not selecting any file. So whenever it is pointing to only folder, what you need to do?
Create the parameterization of the data set. We need to select all parameters
See,
also.
the thing is what I understood is you people
Wildcard path.
okay. While you
Wildcard.
got the file path we need to use. Yesterday session only we discussed, right? Whenever data set is pointing to the folder, we need to use a wildcard file option to put the condition whether everything it has to take from folder or it has to take a specific file from the folder. Okay. Now come to sync. This is the sync block. Team, first thing is I request everybody, please be in mute. Lot of disturbance I'm seeing. So source side input one container I passed. Sync side I'm passing the output one. Okay. Now just debug. So see, this is a copy activity, right? Files read 4, files written is 4. Okay, meaning from input to one folder there are 4 files. These 4 files we copied into the sync. Okay, in the output one, if you see now, you will be able to see there are 4 files. Now if you see the output 2, do we have anything in the output 2? No, because you have not copied anything. Now I can copy the data from, okay, now let's say source, I will say input 2. I want to copy that data into the output 2. Okay, just to debug this. Okay, now you can see here, click on this. There are 3 files are copied from input 2 to output 2. So now refresh output 2. See, the 3 files came from the input 2. So the input 2 is having what files? You can see. You can see here it has department, departments, employee. See, same files are copied into output 2. Similarly, I'll move on to the output 3 now. Okay. Now let's say I am giving the source side input 3. Okay. Sync side I am giving the output 3. Now just to debug now. It is also succeeded. Okay. You can see how many files are copied here. 3 files again. Output 3, refresh it. 3 files, trans1, trans2, top.csv. So if you go to input 3, you will see the same thing. Top trans1, trans2.csv. Okay. So copy data from input 1 to output 1, input 2 to output 2, input 3 to output 3. But there is a problem. Every time we are passing manually, is there anything complete automation we can do? Yes, we can do that. I'll explain. Now let's say from input 3 folder data that I want to copy into the output 4. Will I be able to copy or not? Yes or no? Everybody tell me yes or no. I should see in the chat window yes or no from everybody. From everybody. I just have seen from Srema yes. Only one person responding. Srema. Rest of the people. Okay, Swati, yes, yes, yes. Okay, yes. So now output 4 folder is not there, nothing will happen. It will create the folder and it loads the data into the output container. You can see that. Now it is succeeded. See, 3 files are copied from input 3 to output 4. Output 4 is created or not? Refresh it. Yes, output 4 is created. And you can say trans1, trans2, top.cs. Getting? Very good. So from this, now you understood something. What is that is? You understood there is a source container and this is a sync container. Source container is input 1 that I copied into output 1. Input 2 I copied into output 2. Input 3, output 3. Input 4, output 4. Output 4. But input 4 we don't have, that's why I'll just copy input 3 data into the output 4. Similarly, input 2 data or input 3 data, can I also load it into or something like this? Input 2 data, can I also load that data also in output 4? See, input 1, output 1, input 2, output 2, input 3, output 3. But input 2 data, input 3 data, I'm loading into the output 4. Yes, we can do that. So this is a mapping, for example. Now what I want to do, so this is the this is how I want to do. Okay, now what I'll do, I'll save this file. A config for cloud connect batch 46.csv. So this is the configuration file. So this is the details what I am passing to the see, I want to do complete automation where when I click on a run a pipeline, it should automatically copy data from input 1 to output 1, input 2 to output 2, input 3 to output 3, input 3 to output 4, input 2 to output 4. If you have hundreds of folders, it should copy data from hundreds of folders from input to output. All of you clear on this?
Yes.
Okay, so we can have hundreds of folders, same way we can able to save this. Okay, now complete automation in order to do this, these details are very important. So these details you can able to store either in the storage 1 or storage 2, or you can maintain it in any database table. So most of, like, we will talk about all those things in the future, because if I tell you something, people will ignore few things, that's why. Okay, so now let's say here I'll create one more container called configurations config, or let's say metadata folder. The container is metadata created. One thing I let me tell you, because the container name capital uppercase will not allow container name. That's why if you have given uppercase in the container names, pipeline will fail, because it will not be able to create the containers. Getting? Because I shown you here, right? See, example metadata I have given, it will throw error. Metadata 1 also. See, M is a capital. Okay, it should not take that. If you give small m, it will work. Okay. Oh, fine. So in the metadata folder, what I want to do is, in the metadata folder, I want to upload this particular file. I want to upload this particular file in the desktop. What is that? Config cb46.csv. Open this, upload this. Okay. Config cb46.csv. Clear, all of you? Now what we need to do is, very important thing is, I'll explain to you. Okay, something like this you need to understand. See, we need to design a pipeline in such a way that if you think this is a pipeline, in this pipeline we need somebody who can take up the chocolate packet. Okay, who can take the chocolate packet and who can able to give the chocolate packet, who can able to take the chocolate packet, and we need another person who can able to open the chocolate packet, isn't it? Within the chocolate packet we have chocolates, so somebody should be ready to eat the chocolate one by one. Okay, we need these three people. So first person is for what? First person for taking the chocolate packet. Chocolate packet means here all the chocolates, all the details we have in the metadata config cb46.csv file. We need somebody to read. Okay, so we need once the chocolate packet is read, within the chocolate packet we have chocolates. Somebody should open the chocolates, and one by one chocolate should be given to the person. So we need some person. So for the iterator means like one by one, who can able to give one by one details, that person we need. So final person is who can able to eat these chocolates. Okay, now I'll tell you to read this configuration. We have something called lookup activity which can read these details, config details. Now from this lookup activity there is activity called foreach. For each chocolate, for each details, it will give one by one chocolates to the inner activity. Inside we will have a copy activity. This copy activity will take the details and copy one by one folder. Okay, so how you can able to do this, I'll show you step by step. Very easy. Okay, very easy. I'll tell you how you can do that. So maybe if you want to create a new pipeline for that, let's create a new pipeline. So first thing is we need a configuration details, what all folders I need to copy from where and where to where. I need to use a lookup activity. So where is our configuration file? Is it in the storage one or storage two? Source storage or in the sync storage? Where we uploaded?
Storage in the source.
Source storage.
In the source storage.
Which data set I need to use?
Input source. Source blob
Source data set. Okay. So here you need to pass the container. What is the container? In which container we kept those details in the metadata? Okay. So you put the metadata. You hard code it. Here you need to hard code because metadata is fixed. In this metadata, I have only one file, so that's why I can just use a wildcard file path here also, not an issue. Okay. Now you can just preview data. When you preview, it is giving what? It is giving what, Tim? Input one to output.
Just one source
container.
container and one output.
Only one row is because first row only is there here. You need to remove this. Otherwise, it will give only first row. Now you remove. Now let's click on preview data. Are you getting all these details? Are you getting all these details? Yes. Now what you need to do? Click debug. Okay. When you click debug, what you need to understand is, so sync site. So you see when you debug, this is the lookup activity output. Okay, this is the lookup activity output. Okay. So this is the lookup output. Okay. So in this lookup output, if you say like this, like for example, if you are saying like this, activity of please be in mute him always. I need to tell you output dot. See output is there on this. If you ask count, if you ask count means it will give you what? But in case if you ask instead of output dot value, okay, if you ask value, it will give you all these details. So do you need value or count?
Value.
Value, because we need all this information so that we can copy from input 1 to output 1, input 2 to output 2, input 3 to output 3, input 3 to output 4, and so on. Okay, we need only value. So now you copy this, put this information here. I'll tell you what you need to do. Okay, this is the output of the lookup activity. Now what you can do, close this. Okay, now this lookup output we need to pass it to the for each. Okay, so now I'll tell you how to pass the lookup output to the for each. Come to settings, sequential one by one, items, add dynamic content, lookup value, lookup one dot output dot value. Okay, lookup one dot output dot value. Clear? Lookup one dot output dot value. Everybody's clear on this? So now what happens, for each get the all the chocolates. For each will get all these chocolates. So in this, one chocolate means from year to year is called a one chocolate. Getting? From year to year is called a another chocolate. From year to year, another chocolate. Year to year, another chocolate. Year to year, another chocolate. Total, how many chocolates we have?
5.
You can also, by seeing the count also, you can tell there are 5. So whatever I said, chocolates, right? Those, the actual terminology is called items. How many items we have here?
5.
5.
Okay, item. Now let's say this is the first time for each has given this item. From this item, I want input 1. Then you need to use a source content. So from same item, if I need output 1, then you need to ask a sync content. Okay. Now what will happen? So when the for each, very careful observe, when the for each has given this chocolate, can you tell me what is the source container?
Input one.
When I use this, it will come input 1. When I use this, what it will give?
Output 1.
Output 1.
Now let's say this chocolate is completed. Okay, leave it. This chocolate is completed. Okay, so next it has given this chocolate. Can you tell me for this same I need to use item dot source content? What will be the source container it will give?
Input 2.
Input to 2. Next what it will give here?
Output 2.
2. Okay. Again, let's say this chocolate is also completed. Next, for same formula, see when the chocolate, when the item is changed, values are changing. So this is input 3. This is output 3. Now this input 1 to output 1, input 2 to output 2, input 3 to output 3, where we need to pass all these values for the copy activity. Okay. Now this is the for each. Okay. So now you see this is the what I have explained. Lookup is read the values, passed to the for each. Inside for each we need to use the copy activity. Okay. How to go inside for each? Is click on the see lookup output. I pass to the for each here lookup dot output dot value. Go inside for each. Here I'll use the copy data activity. In this copy data activity, source is source blob. Source blob I need to pass the value. What is the value? Click on this item dot source content.
Source content.
The source content is the wildcard file path. Okay, wildcard file path means we are selecting only folder level, so everything we need to read from source. Come to sync. This is the sync block. Okay, so here you need to say item dot, or you can say add dynamic. For each, if you click, it will give item. In that item, I need a sync content. Okay, see inside for each, I am using the source container and sync container. So source container, when we have a first item, input 1 will come here, output 1 will come here, it will copy. Next, so for each will give the next values. Again, it call the same copy activity. So second copy activity will run with the input 2 to output 2. Next, for each will give the third item. In that input 3 will be the source side will come, output 3 will come at the sync side. Next, Fourth item, input 3, output 4. Fifth item, input 2, output 4. Like that, one by one it will copy. Let's debug and see output. Now I'm not touching anything. Everything will be done automatically. See now, lookup read all the values, all these items given to the foreach. Foreach first given input 1 and output 1 details to the copy activity. Copy activity is running. So once that is succeeded, next lookup you have in the lookup next item you have, right, input 2 to output 2. So for each is giving input 2 to output 2 to the next copy activity. Okay, so second copy activity, again same copy activity is running with a different parameters. Okay, with a different parameter, same copy activity is going to run. So how many times copy activity will run? 5 times, because 5 items are there. So for each item, for each will call the copy activity. So final one is running. So now you feel something, right? So why the copy activity is running very slow? Because one by one. I want to run everything at once. You remove the sequential. Everything will run once. But before I run next time, what I'll do, because if you see output folder, we have all the files are loaded now. See 849. Just now all these are loaded. From the input 2 and the input 3 folders, data is loaded into output 4. But this time what I want to do before I run pipeline, I want to remove all these containers and I need to see whether our pipeline can create these containers or not. Okay. So I already have shown you. Okay, so we will talk one by one. Now I just deleted all the containers. Yeah, sequential means when you have a dependency, when the input 1 to output 1 succeeded, then only I want to go for input 2 to output 2. When you have dependency, you need to go for the sequential. When we don't have any dependency, now I can run everything at once. There is no dependency. I can just debug. Now everything will run at once. Now you see. So lookup for each, after that all 5 copy activities will run at once. Now you see all the 5 copy activities are started. See now all the 5 copy activities are running. Okay, clear? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, everything is ran already. Now if you come here, you should be able to see everything is created. At 851, you can see when it is registered. If you go to input 4, you will have the folders from input 2, input 3 files will be there here. If you go to output 3, we have our input 3 files. Output 2 will have input 2 files. Output 1 will have the input 1 files. I know it takes some time for you to practice. I request all of you to practice. Okay, I already have shown you how to create Azure account. How many of you created Azure account? So first let me take any questions that you have. Let me take, then we will see if anybody have any challenges in creating the Azure account. Tell me, team. I know it is not easy because very important lab, and I know little bit confusions will be there. If you go through one more time recorded sessions and practice it, you'll be able to understand. But this flow is very important flow, or you can say very important concept throughout our training. This flow is something very frequently you will see in the real. Next, anybody have any questions in this lab?
I wanted to ask you what we can do with pipelines in Synapse. Can we do the same things with ADF?
Yes. If you want to try, anybody wants to try same thing in ADF, you try. There is no change. Same thing will work. Same options will be. Zero changes.
Malay,
Everything.
you have selected You have selected all CSV files. Can we take different files in different folders?
Already we discussed yesterday. Even if you have a different files, what will happen, right? Just a folder you are selecting. What we have seen yesterday. Even a JSON file, CSV combination of files also you can copy.
So let's say if the configuration file has a new output folder, but whereas the output folder doesn't actually exist, so when we debug it, will it create the new input folder or new output folder and move the
What?
files on the fly?
What you have
If the out
no, we created all these folders, right?
right, let's say if one of the folder is missing, let's say it doesn't exist, but the configuration file has a new output folder name
No, that's what
that
I'm saying.
doesn't actually exist. Right.
No, like what is the difference that you are telling? I did not understand. What we have seen.
Oh, I got you.
Huh?
Now,
I think it
when you were
creates.
no, what I wanted to say is not using the config file. Sorry, let me rephrase my question. So let's say without using the config file, when you were manually moving the data from input 1 to output 1, input 2 to output 2, and likewise. So let's say if output 3 file doesn't exist, and when you are moving the data by running the debug command, will it create output 3 folder on the fly, or will it check if the folder already exists over there?
I'm not able to understand what you are asking
See,
because your question is already answered. But you are asking same question or what I did not get. Because even if you don't have any folder is not there means if you run a debug, it will create the folder.
That's exactly what I wanted to ask.
No, already I have shown you that's why I was confused why you were asking same question, whether you are asking something else. Because if you remember, input one, output two, output three, I created at the beginning. But output four I have not created. I have passed manually to the pipeline. It created the output four. At that time also I have shown you.
Oh, probably I might have missed that. Okay, you
Therefore,
answered it.
okay.
Thank you.
Doesn't matter whether you
I have
have
one
a
question,
folder,
sir.
you don't have a folder. Whenever copy activity find that the output folder structure is not available, means it will create and it will load. Whether you are
Got it. Thank you.
configurations, whether you are hard coding, doesn't matter. Next.
I have one question, sir. So can you go to the lookup activity, please?
Sure.
So here we have settings, please. Okay, we have taken the metadata folder. So inside metadata folder, we have a file, right? Config file.
Yes.
So in this, we have a 5 files or 6 files configuration we have done.
If you have a 5 files, 6 files, it will not work. You need to just select that required file. Because I just don't want to create a multiple data sets. I don't want to confuse the people at the beginning of the sessions itself. I just have used the same data set to make the lab simple for the day one. Because day one itself, I am telling all these things, people will confuse. That's why I try to make a very minimal changes and try to complete the lab. But all those scenarios you will come to know in the future. One more thing is the configuration details. We are not going to maintain it in the file at all. We are going to maintain it in the tables. All those things will be covered in the future. Okay. Your question is valid question, but yes, we will not have such type of issue. We will have we will pass the file name directly if you are reading the configuration details from the file, but mostly we will read configuration details from the table. Next.
What happens? Can we update the metadata regularly, or like what happens if somebody deletes the metadata file?
If somebody deleted metadata file means your pipeline will not run, your pipeline will fail.
Okay.
Simple.
And can we update it?
Again, you need to create the metadata file and you need to store it in the same location to run the pipeline properly, to make a pipeline to succeed. Okay.
Okay.
Next. One by one questions you asked him. Okay.
So what happened if we are using incorrect folder name? What was the expected error?
So I told you one thing, right? So if you have like for example, I'll show you. Okay. So it doesn't matter, right? I told you if the incorrect folder name means, let's say instead of giving output 4, you have given out, so some spelling mistake. Okay. So you have given like this. What will happen? You think? Tell me. What will happen?
No, I'm saying like
No,
input, like a source container, not in output.
source container, if it is not there, means it will throw error. Source
Yeah, what was the error? That is what I'm checking.
container is missing. The container name input 5 it will show. Okay, let me show you. You are more interested in the error message. Let me show you that. Okay. Meantime, you can ask other questions too. So this is answered already almost. It will fail and you can see the error. Remaining questions, please. See, it failed. Okay. We click on this error message. It says, please contact blob storage item if you need further support. See what it is saying. The required blob is missing. The container name input 5. Okay, that is the error message. The required blob is missing. The container name input 5 is missing. Clear? Let's say you have given a output like this. Okay, output 2 is not existent. Let's say output 5, output 8 otherwise. Okay, but output 8 is, will I be able to create output 8? Will I be able to
Yes,
create
it will be created on the fly.
No. I told you something. Why it will not create? Tell me. It will fail. Why it will fail? Because container name uppercase is not allowed, so your copy activity will fail, saying that not able to create the container called output 8. Okay, fine. Next question, Tim. So I'll show you this error message anyhow. See, unable to create Azure blob container. Okay, what it is saying? The message it clearly told, right? Container name output 8. What it is saying, the message, somewhere unable to create Azure blob container. Okay, the reason is capital O, uppercase, upper O. Okay, so it will not tell you. Next, any other questions? Fine. If no questions, how many of you created Azure account? How many of you facing issue while creating the Azure account? See, I request if anybody is not created Azure account yet, I request all of you to create Azure account and please practice it. See, our labs will be like complex as the days goes. Okay, as we completed the sessions, the complexity of the labs will keep increasing. If you are not practicing the basic labs, it will be a problem for you. You might have seen day 1, day 2, day 3. There is a dependency. You need to understand the previous sessions in order to understand the next session. Okay, I am going very basic, step by step only. Your side also you need to put effort and practice it same. Okay, no, not yes, if not duplicate data, because the same file will be loaded, right? So data will be overwrite. Data is going to be overwrite. Okay, Lakshman. If anybody make changes to the source CSV file, when you run next time, it will overwrite the data in the target. Okay. Any other questions, team? Final call team. Any questions? Final call. Any questions? Fine. If no questions, then thank you all. Thank you. That's all.